Keron,
Charlie.
this is your first exhibition in London.
Yes.
Central London, Knightsbridge.
Yes.
I mean, aim high. And I've been here a little while, and I've seen that it's already hugely successful. People coming in, asking questions. Now, how would you best describe this exhibition in a few short words to these people? I've said to them silk, flowers and ice, but of course they want that to be elaborated on. Would you be able to help them?
Yes, well, I think so, because people are seeing something that they've never seen before. And I've watched people's faces as they've been coming in over just the last couple of days. And it's a wonderful expression of surprise and delight and just joyfulness. And men and women coming in and saying, oh, but we love the color. And then when I say to them, well, I'm happy to meet you. I'm the photographer. And I started all of these pieces with fresh flowers and then go a little bit through how I do it. Then they start to think, oh, because some people were thinking, perhaps it's a painting, or perhaps it's this, or something else. But again, they've never seen them before. And so it's great fun for me to walk them through the whole process and still at the end of all of that, see the delight and the joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I hear you clearly. And one of the things that I'm particularly keen to know is that, well, I already do know, but it's fascinating, the application that you have created. We have scarves, we have cushion covers,
Yes.
we have the most gorgeous things that people are really, really savouring and finding utterly, utterly beautiful.
Well,
With no mannerisms.
No.
They're just...
it's just...
What, could you describe the number of...
How many different
How
pieces?
many different pieces?
Oh my gosh, I think we're at about 65 or so different pieces now. But there are always new flowers and new ways to join them and new color combinations. And for me, what's so important with the flowers is the gesture that they're offering. For example, this is a very calm and very serene and just meditative kind of piece. But there are others that are very exuberant and coming straight out of the photograph. And so I'm mindful of that when I'm choosing the flowers as I'm making them. And then I start thinking about color palette, but it's always the flowers that lead the way. They tell me what they want.
Well, I love the way that you've expressed that, because if you think about it, no one else would probably say such a thing, be it a painter or a musician. But what you've done is that you've allowed the flowers essentially to lead the way.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
One of the things that I think, and one of the very many special things, is that you mentioned men. A large number of men have come in and they've gasped in the way that I did when I first came in earlier. So it's really, that must be hugely gratifying for you.
It is exactly
the male
that.
sex to say, wow.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. And I hope that it's because they recognize something that's universal, that we humans appreciate, perhaps even gravitate toward, and that is the beauty inherent in the flower itself. It's expressing itself to us. It's expressing part of our world that maybe we don't often stop long enough and appreciate. And I think that captures people's attention.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a landscape photographer, as you know, and I think one of the things that I always say is that the crucial nature of nature and being with it and side by side with it, it elevates you as a human being. And that we need to spend more time amongst nature, and you've delivered nature full on for us. It's just
I'm trying,
amazing.
And I think that's perhaps the reason that I wanted to translate the pieces onto completely handmade papers and then onto silk, natural substance. This is a kozo paper from Japan. Others are printed on bamboo. The silk, of course, is a natural product, sustainable inks. But I wanted to, with the silks particularly, be able to wrap that color around me all year long. And it's lovely to have it on the wall, but when you can take it with you always, it's, I don't know, I think it's a nice idea.
I couldn't agree more. What I've enjoyed about being in this gallery, firstly, it's a wonderful privilege, is to see the expression on the visitor's face and they're vocalizing that,
Yes.
that response.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, they're coming in and they're going, wow.
Yes.
And
It's been tremendous.
I've been to a number of galleries, as you have, and I don't think I've gone anywhere where I've just said, wow. And it's because, if I may suggest, that this work has never been seen. The like of this work has just not been seen before, because you're pioneering this. You're the first person out there doing it, and you're seeing the response, which must be so gratifying.
It is.
Must be. Can I just quickly ask you,
Yes.
do you have any outlook for increasing this not this style, but I suppose the number of products, the number of artworks that you are going to be doing over
Yes.
the years, because they're just so lovely.
Well, I have
they're going to go so fast.
I have, thank you, from your lips, right?
Yes, yeah.
But I have one dream. It's not a dream, it's going to happen. I have one overarching desire, and that is to work in a larger format. And that, I hope, will translate to other things, into furniture, into very fine linens, in household things, and larger prints. Now I have prints that are 84 inches tall and about 45 inches wide, and that's wonderful. But if I can work in a larger format, which means a walk-in freezer and a whole different setup kind of thing, then I can translate a tree. Imagine a small tree in this format with its flowering moment, or in winter with its bones laid bare and all of that beauty. Yes. So, there's so many ideas that keep driving me forward. So the answer to your question is, there's so many answers.
Yes, no, I
and
understand.
only so much time.
And I've got so many questions. I've just got one that I'd like to ask you, which is, there's obviously going to be multiple exhibitions over the years.
Oh, I hope.
Throughout the world. And one of the things I'm quite keen to know is, I think I know the answer, and I will ask you anyway.
Okay.
Do you have preferences in your work? And I'm going to dare suggest that you can't possibly be, because in a sense you're in love with all of them.
I am in love with all of them, or I wouldn't show them.
No.
Because I'm not always successful when I'm making a composition, or perhaps the ice misbehaves a little bit. More often than not, the ice gives me a surprise, and it works beautifully with the composition. But sometimes it doesn't go well, and so I have to start again. You know, fresh flowers, start again, different arrangement, different gesture, different composition, and so I'm always a little bit in love with the latest one that I've done, because it's taught me something new.
Yes.
And that is exciting to me. That edge, that bit of revelation, that evolving period.
Yes.
And I don't fall out of love with the first ones. It's not that. It's that I want to move forward always. I want to evolve. I know that there's much more there for me to learn, and there's much more that the flowers have to say. And I want to keep learning. And so,
Well, no, I think that's an extremely good answer. One of the things that I've noticed, and I've looked carefully at them, is really, to my mind, there's no repetition.
No.
Really none at all. So they're all completely unique. And I just absolutely love that.
Well, like all of us, we each have our own expression.
Yes.
And the flowers do. And then imagine combining different groups of flowers and different colors and different textures and different shapes. It truly is infinite.
Yes.
The prints are not infinite. There are only 7 of each one. But the possibilities are infinite.
Yes.
So
We're very interested to be able to explore in greater depth some of the questions we posed to her before. And I'm absolutely fascinated by asking an artist such as Keron to unravel a photograph. Would you be able to do that for me and our guests?
I'd love to.
So here is one of your many absolutely breathtaking photographs.
Thank
and
you.
I wondered if you could, to illuminate us, just unravel what you would like us to notice.
Happily. First and foremost, the flowers are speaking to me with their gesture and their shape. And in this instance, well, it's gesture, but the Stephanotis is a flower that is very uplifting, if you will. And so when I made the composition, I wanted to take advantage of that feeling. And then happily, because the ice is always giving me a surprise, And here we have the flowers giving me a surprise, and that is the stephanotis has a great deal of oxygen in the plant, and that oxygen has to escape. As the freezing is happening, it's compressing that, and it's pushing all of that oxygen out and giving us those bubbles that are coming out toward us, like the stephanotis is coming up and out toward us. And so we have all of that in addition to the happy bubbles that are showing up on the left, the right, and the bottom, and the finish. And so
Well,
there we are.
thank you
Surprise
so
from
much.
the ice, surprise from the flowers. It's all joyful.
It is indeed, and joyful for the viewer.
Thank
I think I'm particularly interested, and I know you are too, in the way that the viewer responds to an artistic work.
Yes.
And these are incredibly uplifting. And we discussed in our previous conversation how we find there's a spiritual component. And I've noticed people walking into the gallery, and within about 10 seconds, you can see them almost take in an intake of breath, and you can see them really upbeat and completely engaged immediately.
And at ease.
And at ease, yeah.
Yeah, because flowers are known to us.
Yeah.
They're not intimidating.
No.
We don't have to guess about what it is.
No.
There's a bit of mystery about how they're made and how it can be a photograph or not a painting or some other production.
Yes.
But they're familiar and they feel good. So people aren't intimidated by it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's a very good point, because I've noticed that when people have come in and subsequently acquired some of your work, quite a lot in fact, it's unnecessary to say, you can see that they don't really want to leave with only having acquired one.
Yes.
And they buy multiples.
Yes.
And I think that's really, really special. But I think one of the other things I'd like to ask you is, for many people, the way you describe the work, it to me, a landscape photographer, it seems sort of actually quite complex. But in a way, to you, it's almost, I would think, not easy to describe, because it essentially is unpredictable. And yet for you, it is quite predictable and unpredictable.
At the same
Would that be a fair
time.
way of putting it?
Well, let's say that I'm happily familiar with the flowers through a lot of trial and error, and so and I'm only joyful when I'm doing it. What's unpredictable is how the ice will behave with the organic matter that's inside. And then every once in a while I make a mistake and I don't get the flowers secured well, and then they'll pop up and sometimes stick out of the ice. And then you have this marvelous thing happening with hoarfrost and ice bits building up on the outside.
Yes.
And I love that too.
Yes.
I love the unpredictable nature of all of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you find, connected with the unpredictability, do you find that there are certain people who want to quiz you and learn how you do the work?
Yes,
Right.
yes, they're very curious, for sure. They're very curious. How shall I say? There are a lot of steps involved,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
And so it's quite easy for me to describe, and I have no secrets about it. I don't
No.
believe in that kind of attitude about things. And so I'm happy to go through every single step, but then doing it is a different thing.
Yeah.
Of course, I would encourage everyone to play and enjoy and create something of beauty.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I'd just say on behalf of me and everybody watching this, and I hope there'll be very many, there should be, I'd like to thank you so much
Thank you, Charlie.
for doing this and
Thank
for
you.
making this happen
Thank
and
you.
sharing so readily. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to be able to look forward to seeing very many exhibitions in the future across the world, because here's an artist the like of which I personally have never met before. I've never seen this sort of work, and it is inspiring and uplifting, joyful, spiritual, and completely and utterly beautiful.
Thank you,
So
Charlie.
thank you very
That's
much
so kind.
indeed.
Thank you so
Really
much.
kind of you.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you all over the world.
I hope so. I hope so.
There you are. Thank you.